Can you guys hear us okay?
Just fine.
Yes.
Yep.
It's one of these buttons.
So we have three. We have three of them on.
Yeah,
Council
we have
members.
more than that, yeah.
Oh,
We have Linda, Judy, Johnny, Miriam, and Susan.
okay, everybody but Kelly right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we ready?
We're ready.
Are we live?
Yes.
Okay. I will call the work session for Tuesday, September 1st, 2020 to order. Some members of City Council may participate via telephone or video conference. A quorum may or may not be physically present during this in the City Council chambers. Texas Government Code 551.127 A-2. Citizens wishing to make comments should email mparks@evermantx.net, mparks@evermantx.net, or they can call 817-203-3239, 817-203-3239. Citizens' comments received prior to the meeting adjourned will be read to the council. So we'll drop down to discussion items. Item 1 is the RFQ process for fire station remodel and City Hall Annex rebuild.
Wanted to mainly just let everybody know that we've started the process of filling out the RFP to put out. So as we move forward with the City Hall rebuild and the fire station remodel, we're going to have to go out for bid. And as a part of that, that's what the RFP is, a request for proposals. It'll be an all-inclusive proposal, including design, build, and construction. The RFP process will take us about 30 days. My hope is to have the RFP completely drafted and sent to all the council members by the end of this week so that we can review it during next week's regular city council meeting and approve it. As long as city council approves it next Tuesday night, then we will post it for the public on September the 9th. It will run for 15 days and we'll see what kind of responses we get from that. Once we receive the responses on the RFP, we'll judge them and select which contractor we're going to go with. So just kind of keep your eyes on the email for before Friday and take a look through the RFP. It's lengthy. It's about 10 pages of details on what's going to be required. That way we can hopefully address it next Tuesday and vote to approve the RFP process.
Does anybody have any questions?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm good.
Okay, like Craig said, everybody, we need to be checking our emails, so please check them periodically. Let's make sure we stay up on our city business. So, okay, let's drop down to item 2, the budget amendments for fiscal year 2020 budget.
Okay, those are still a work in progress. I have begun working on, I'm going to have a separate budget amendment strictly for the CARES Act, just because it's so detailed in itself. So far on that, I have 168,000. Basically, that's just going to be moving money from the liability, just accounting for all of these expenses that we've already incurred. And I will have documents on this to you prior to the meeting next week, for you all to review that. And there will be some additional budget amendments. I looked at the preliminary numbers for August, and I can start coming up with several, a few more regular budget amendments that I will have to as well on a separate spreadsheet for your review before next week.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on budget amendments? Okay, we'll drop down to item 3, Tarrant County Fire Alarm Dispatch.
So I wanted to fill everybody in to kind of give you a little bit of the backstory. Tarrant County Fire Alarm Dispatch is responsible for dispatching roughly 13, 14 agencies, I believe, within Tarrant County, fire agencies. And they are currently housed out of the Saginaw Fire Station. The city of Saginaw is moving forward with building a new fire station, and Tarrant County Fire Alarm is not included with that space that they are proposing to build. So they have been looking for a new home, a new location to house Tarrant County Fire Alarm Dispatch out of. They've searched through several different options. They've talked to MedStar, they've talked to Tarrant County Sheriff's Office, and there haven't really been a whole lot of options that have been available. Currently, the way our dispatch operates is our dispatch is responsible for dispatching our fire and our police, and Tarrant County Fire Alarm handles our dispatching for county-related calls. What I've started the discussion with them on and what they seem to be interested in is the potential of Tarrant County Fire Alarm housing out of the Everman Police Department. With us moving forward with the City Hall Annex and getting a new facility there, that would be more than sufficient to suffice for a training room. And our current training room in the police department could be converted to a dispatch center that would house our police dispatch and Tarrant County Fire Alarm jointly. As a part of the agreement, Tarrant County Fire Alarm would obviously take over dispatching for fire and EMS calls within our city as well as the county. I've talked with the Tarrant County Fire Alarm Board, and they are highly interested, and I've talked with our lead dispatcher, Beverly White, who is also very interested. The goal here, and the reason why we're kind of wanting to go this route, is because it's going to save, or my theory on it is that it's going to save us money. So instead of us forking all the expenditures over for the infrastructure required to operate a dispatch center, the internet, the Ethernet T1 lines, the Motorola consoles, all the furniture, equipment, the electrical bill, telephone cost, and fire alarm having to do the exact same thing, we could come together and save money on both ends by jointly getting all the equipment that we need. So kind of the goal here would be to not only create a dispatch center that can satisfy several needs, but also help us save money in the long run by increasing our capabilities and lowering our expenditures. Right now, it's just kind of in discussion and design phase. Fire Alarm Board was on board with it when I met with them last week, and they wanted us to move forward. So we're analyzing exact cost of what it would be for them to move. Obviously, those costs for Fire Alarm to move would be incurred by the Fire Alarm Board. It wouldn't be incurred by the city of Everman. Our only cost would be whatever it cost us to move the equipment from one room to another, which would be very minimal. We can do most of that on our own without having to get any technical expertise involved. Tarrant County 911 has already agreed to and awarded us a nearly $500,000 grant for new radio console equipment. And we're just kind of waiting on what happens with that to see if Fire Alarm is going to come to Everman or not. Because if they come, then we're going to want to install this new equipment in our training room, not in our current dispatch room. So we've kind of put that on hold until we figure out what's going to happen with Fire Alarm. Obviously, if we look to move forward with this, then we would make a recommendation to council. So I want to make sure that council has an opportunity to ask any questions that you may have. And I know that dispatch operations, with the exception of Ms. Sanders and Mayor, probably aren't going to be very familiar with how that works, but I'm more than happy to go into the nitty-gritty details if you want to come by and take a look, and we can talk exactly about how it would work. But I want to address any questions that you may have now and kind of let you know and put that on your radar.
So are you saying that the city won't have any dispatchers? They're going to work for Tarrant County?
No, so we would still have our dispatchers. We're not losing our dispatchers. Our dispatchers would not be responsible for dispatching fire and EMS calls anymore. Tarrant County Fire Alarm would handle all of those calls for us. But our dispatchers would focus solely on police. However, they're going to be housed jointly in the same room, in the same office. So all the dispatchers are going to be sitting together between the police dispatchers and the fire dispatchers operating together.
Okay.
We'd be cohabitating.
About how many people are we talking about?
Employee-wise,
Yes.
they have anywhere from 2 to 3 dispatchers on per shift. Based off the size of the room, we can house at least 8 consoles in the dispatch office comfortably. So there's opportunity for us to grow with this as well.
Thank you.
Ma'am. And keep in mind, we're not taking over fire alarm. We're not looking to make them employees of the city, and vice versa. Our dispatchers are not going to become employees of fire alarm. We're just going to be co-housing together and sharing resources together while operating.
So when do they have to be out of Saginaw?
When the fire station is built, and they still haven't got a firm timeline, but they have about a year and a half left before they're home.
Okay.
But they're ready to jump on it as quickly as they possibly can, because they're paying rent now to the city of Saginaw for the facility that they're in.
Okay.
So it's causing somewhat of a budget impact that they're trying to relieve.
So are they gonna have like separate little cubicles or something, or, you know, because I'm thinking of the noise.
Yeah, so they operate with headsets, and
Okay.
we talked about noise canceling and making sure that we have the foam padding on the walls and everything to make sure that the noise reduction was there. They don't operate in cubicles, so to speak, but they do have dispatch stations, and it's like a desk with the computer monitors in front of them. The desk will raise and lower. It's very nice, and there's multiple dispatch centers that are going to be similar to how we'll have ours set up. So it's definitely possible, and the noise shouldn't be an issue.
Okay.
So now if we house them, they're not going to pay us anything to house them, correct? We're going to just join together to work together?
Correct. The benefit here is the cost reduction for us on our infrastructure. We're going to split those costs, and we're gaining fire dispatchers, certified fire dispatchers. There's pros and cons to our dispatchers doing both. Our dispatchers are mainly focused on police dispatching. They're phenomenal dispatchers, but they don't regularly dispatch for fire, and they don't regularly do what we call emergency medical dispatching. They're not certified in that area. So we're kind of improving our capabilities and our credentialing by merging with fire alarm on that side. I think most of the dispatchers will probably tell you they struggle when it comes to fire dispatching, just because we don't have structure fires every day in Everman. So they don't get the experience and the repetitive knowledge that they need to be a excellent fire dispatcher. They deal with police all day, every day. They're phenomenal police dispatchers, but they don't get exposed to the fire side as often as they could.
But when they do, they are excellent.
They always are. They always are.
Well, this just is another step for us to gain a better relationship with the county.
Yes.
So,
And it opens up some possibilities for potential revenue, so to speak, in the future. I'm really not in this business to say revenue. I don't want to say it's a money-making opportunity, but there are agencies out there that are looking for qualified dispatch centers. And if we could become one of those, that may very well help. And the more help we can get in offsetting our expenditures, that creates revenue, so to speak. So if we can limit our cost and how much we're having to pay for the same amount of equipment that other agencies are having to pay by coming together, that overall increases our revenue.
I like it.
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I like it.
Do we have any other questions? You good,
No.
Craig?
I'm good.
Okay. We'll drop down to number 4, the comprehensive plan.
So the charter requires that the city manager submit it's city manager, isn't it? Who's responsible? I thought so. So I am required by charter to submit to city council by December 5th, I believe, of every year, a capital improvement plan. And we've kind of fallen off the ball on that. And my goal is to get back on the ball. And I'm going to do my very best to make it a good capital improvement plan before December 5th, but I have a feeling it may still very much so be a work in progress before we submit that. One thing I want to do is that what we've done in the past is we've had future land use plans, we've had capital improvement plans, we've kind of had this hodgepodge of different things that have happened. And so I want to bring them all together to be a comprehensive plan that city management and city council has an opportunity to review every year all together. So we're making sure that we're addressing our future land use plan. We're addressing our capital improvement plan, our street improvement plan. There's several items that go into the comprehensive plan altogether. And really what the comprehensive plan is supposed to be is our roadmap. Where are we going? And I think we've kind of lacked on that in the past, and I'd really like to get a good roadmap put in place. But to get a good roadmap, I mentioned last week in my weekly report to all council members that I'd really love your feedback. I'd really like to get what your vision is so I can make sure to include that within our comprehensive plan. I really want to capture that as best as we possibly can. And as we continue to move forward, we can continue to improve on that comprehensive plan and have a roadmap, not just for city council, but for the directors and departmental employees as well, to know where we're going and what our goals are and what the immediate priorities need to be. So if you would, as council members, please just set aside some time over the next week and jot down an email. Let me know what's important to you, what's not important to you, what your priorities are, what your vision is for the city. What you like, what you don't like. I want to know all the good, bad, and the ugly so I can make sure that we can address it and try to get it handled and include that in there.
Okay.
Any questions?
No.
Crickets. I shocked everybody.
Okay. Next item is Veterans Memorial Committee. And this is something I've been planning on doing for a while, but it was one to make sure we had the funding kind of halfway figured out. I know we've been trying to look for grant money and things like that, and hadn't gone well with that end of it. But Johnny had asked for this to be on there because EDC had discussed it. And I would like to go ahead and get a committee together since there's some money earmarked for the Veterans Memorial. And I know it was discussed that it would be military, fire, and police departments, personnel. So my only request is that the people on this board are retired military or the police and fire to kind of send it in the right direction. And, you know, who knows better than those individuals, you know, what needs to be there. So, but anybody got anything on that? Craig, do you have anything or?
I think that it was not intended that every person on the committee be a veteran or a police, fire. I think it was just that they would be represented. We don't want a committee that has none.
Yeah.
Because that's not going to be good. So
Well, that's my concern though. I want veterans on there.
Definitely.
I want
we
fire.
want that. We want that
police.
representation.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's things that they know about the service and stuff that a regular person wouldn't know. So,
Right. But if there's somebody else that's interested in it,
Yeah.
I think.
I know we
opinions
have
are
two
good.
council members, Susan, you and Kelly, both have military. I don't know if anybody else does. But
How are you
Like-
going to advertise this?
what's that?
How are you going to advertise this? The need
Uh,
for committee members.
Well, we'll do like we always do. We'll have to put it on the website, and word of mouth is going to be a big deal. So I really need council to get the word out. We need to decide on how many people we want on that committee. But it's,
We could put it on the library sign too.
Yeah.
After it gets fixed.
well, we'll use whatever avenues we have available to us.
Okay.
So,
I'll be on the committee.
What's
Well,
that?
I volunteer.
I thought Nicoletti already had a kind of idea on, you know, with the bricks, selling the bricks for it and all this kind of stuff, you know, to help with some of the funding.
Yeah.
He definitely has some concepts and ideas to share with the committee.
Right.
I believe the EDC board's recommendation was to have a committee designated to make those decisions. EDC approved, I believe, $75,000 this year, which is going to be a good start, but it's not really going to get us probably what many folks are envisioning. So the committee's responsibilities will also be to make final recommendations on what the priorities are going to be for the park this year. What do we want to spend the first $75,000 on this year? And it may just be concrete foundation and fencing. Don't know, but it would be that committee's responsibilities to evaluate and come up with a design and finalize everything to make the recommendation back to council on how to move forward. So he definitely has some concept ideas and he's got some good resources there. But EDC is recommending that there be a Veterans Memorial Committee made up of particularly involving veterans and police and fire to make those final decisions or make those final.
I'd like to be on it as well.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
I just said I'd like to be on it as well.
I think what maybe the best way to go about this, Mayor, is if we have council members that know or recommend somebody to be on the committee, to have those forwarded to Mindy as quickly as possible. And Mindy can reach out to them and make sure that they get the application required and we'll get it submitted and cleared and so forth. So council members can decide who's on the committee and make those appointments.
Cool.
So that plan. So
Do we want to shoot for October's meeting, October's regular session to make those appointments?
yeah, let's do that. The next meeting, we'll decide on if we want to make it a 5 or 7 member committee.
Okay.
7 might be better because of the fact that parts police, parts fire, then there's the multiple branches of the military. So,
I think more ideas are probably better,
yeah.
especially when coming up with revenue ideas and how to help fund the project.
7
So,
sounds
let's do that. We'll, next week we'll vote on starting the committee, and then next month, hopefully we'll have enough people lined up, or we can start going through and decide who's going to be on the committee. Is everybody good with that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Next item is executive session pursuant to section 551.071, chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. Council reserves the right to convene in executive sessions from time to time as deemed necessary during the meeting to receive advice from its attorney on any posted agenda item as permitted by law. Additionally, council may convene into executive session to discuss the following: pending and contemplated litigation or to seek the advice of the city attorney pursuant to section 551.071, discussion regarding possible purchase, sale, exchange, lease, or value of real property pursuant to section 551.072. Item 1, discussion on Fort Worth proposal for a zoning change on a development that would connect to urban roads, and C, personnel matters pursuant to section 551.074. How are we going to do this?
We're just going to cease the live stream and stop feeding it and the recording, and we can continue just like we are right here.
Okay, if everybody just hold on a minute, we're just going to cut the live feed and then we'll go into executive session.